Great, thank you very much, Juliana, and hi, everyone. Okay, let's get started. So we'll walk through the agenda first here quickly and just go over what we're going to cover today. Okay, here we go. So as you likely saw from the webinar invitation, the focus for today is on collaboration. And I wanted to start out by just talking about how we view the differences between communication and collaboration and some of the key aspects of collaboration, the challenges and how we can solve them here at Dassault Systèmes with the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. I'll also introduce the two offerings we're discussing today, which are social collaboration and enterprise collaboration. We'll also have a demonstration of the platform and spend a fair bit of time walking through the capabilities and the functionalities provided by those two offerings. And then, as Juliana said, we'll finish up with some questions. I do encourage you to enter your questions at any time in the question panel. So no need to wait until the end of the discussion. We did run out of time at our session yesterday for answering all of the questions. So type them in as soon as you see them because we'll go in the order we receive them. But as Juliana mentioned, if we're unable to get to your question today, we will follow up with you directly just to make sure that we get it answered. Okay, so I'll just start by introducing myself. That's me, Jessica Jensen. As Juliana said, I am with the portfolio management team here at GEOVIA, and I've been with Dassault Systèmes and the GEOVIA group for over a year now. I'm responsible for Earth Resources Management and our solutions that fall in that discipline. So really that means any of our solutions that provide mid to short-term scheduling all the way up to real-time operations, as well as production intelligence. I'm responsible for understanding the needs of our customers and the direction of the market and creating a long-term vision for our solutions in Earth Resources Management. And that's for things like planning and scheduling and production intelligence for mining and for other industries as well here at Dassault Systèmes. I have a background in workforce management, scheduling and optimization for industrial enterprise organizations. And I'm based in beautiful Vancouver, Canada, where we're having a lovely summer. And so welcome. Thanks everyone for joining. Okay, so to get started, I like to start with an example and a little story. I think it helps kind of set the overview for what we want to talk about. And so where I wanted to start with was an example of ineffective communication. And this may be have some familiar situations for you, but it's just a little story, and we'll start with Tanya, and Tanya's our production geologist, and she's just updated the block model and needs to share it with some of her teammates and other stakeholders, like schedulers and geologists and engineers and such. And so as per the company policy, she saves the block model on the company's network drive, labels the file, makes sure it's in the correct folder and that it's accessible, and then sends an email to everybody that needs to know about it to let them know about the location and that the file is there for review. And sorry, clicked the wrong way there. So she sends off that email and waits for a bit and doesn't hear back. So then tries giving a call to those stakeholders to find out what they've heard, and does hear back and find out that some back and forth. The geologist says, yep, we've reviewed it. And there was some feedback. Some things were sent in email. There were some things in meetings, and the feedback is sort of being passed around. But it's impossible to tell who else has looked at the model aside from the people that she sent it to get feedback from their teams as well. And with the comments and questions coming in emails and meetings and everything, it's kind of hard to collate all of it. Even more, the schedulers have taken a copy of the model and saved it to their own location on the network drive, which is inaccessible to Tanya. So any feedback or comments from them might be unavailable. And other stakeholders have been copied on the emails. So there's conversations happening on conference calls. In addition, the geology team made a copy of that model because they did have some comments, and that's now stored on the network drive. So there's been all these emails and calls and meetings, and poor Tanya's there trying to gather all that information, compile all the feedback, and make those updates that have been suggested. Now she's got to try to figure out which model is the latest version, have the changes that the geology team made. Are they applicable, or should she go back to her previous version? But there's 2 versions of the file, and so as you can see, there's a lot of time spent just trying to get feedback on her version of the block model, and then being able to collate that feedback and make update to the latest version. So very time consuming in that way. Another way that we look at this and talk about that ineffective communication is if we just focus on email. If we say, let's just keep everything in email, so we have a trail of all communications, and it's a lot easier to keep track of everything. Okay, well, let's walk through an example of that. So in this case, I've received an email that says that the latest topography is available, and it has a helpful link on the network drive to where to go and find it. So that's great. I navigate to the file server and find the correct folder and file, and that's great. There it is. And then I open it up in Surpac to take a look. And then, oh, I notice an error. And so I want to let everybody know about the error. So I send an email and just make a note, and have some questions about that. And then there's some conversations that happen as well. So I'm waiting for a response, and does anybody hear back from me? Send another email, and then find out that there's been additional updates to the file, and I've got to go find those. Maybe the error has been corrected. The person that I'm waiting to hear from is out of the office, and I get their out of the office email. So it's a very another convoluted method of communication just focused on email. And with all these different people involved, whether they're on site, whether they are all in the same team, in between different departments, or if I'm trying to coordinate with head office, there's just no easy way to really streamline communication. And the way that we look at it here at Dassault Systèmes is, if you don't have effective communication and you're running into all the challenges that we've just walked through, or that we see here, then not only are you not communicating well, but you're definitely not being able to collaborate. And this ineffective communication can affect everybody. So we have some common example here from our customers of the different types of users and the challenges that they have, and a lot of this are the things that we just talked about previously in those 2 examples. But really, it can affect everyone at any location and regardless of their responsibilities. So, you say, okay, some of this sounds familiar, but it's not that big of a deal. We've all learned how to live in the chaos of dealing with your email inbox, or you have a file management solution, and the company is using that well, and it's just a matter of getting the files off of people's local desktops where they're working with applications like Surpac, and getting them onto the file server. But then it's not so bad, and the little bit of back and forth isn't that bad. But I did find some information on how expensive ineffective communication can be in terms of time and the impacts of that. So this survey found of the time that people spent, and they categorized that time throughout their day. So was it in a category that fell under value-added work, and 68% of their time was considered value-added work, which isn't unreasonable, and the remainder of the time was on non-value-added work. So if you look at a 8-hour day, that's approximately almost 6 hours, so 5 3/4 hours is value added. But that means that over 2 hours of that time is not value added, and that seems pretty significant. So the breakdown then on what they consider non-value added time, and it's all about the things we just saw in the examples. It's about managing file versions, making sure that you have the correct version, getting feedback from others and having to incorporate those changes, looking for information that's supposed to be there and you can't find it, so you have to recreate it. And then file management, so checking data in and out. So you can see in the middle here, even just searching for information took up 23% of the time. And that's even when we have access to things like corporate file servers that are nicely, organized and structured with folders and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of that over 2 hours every day that's spent on these activities that are hindering collaboration. And then just some feedback on typically what the respondents feel the impacts of having that outdated information means. What does it mean to them if they are working with that version of the block model that Tanya has provided, but she's already gone and made an update, and somebody's just using the link in the previous email and they're still looking at the older version. So for people that have to make decisions based on that block model, so maybe they're going in and eventually updating the reserves, the mine design, the schedule, they need to go and rework or redesign that. The schedule could work, but it's now going to be more inefficient because it won't have the latest updates from the geology. It can delay the time to complete your business, add costs, affect quality, etc. So it is a significant impact. Another study that I found at the completed by the Harvard Business Review found that employees spend, this is significant, up to 80% of their time in meetings, on the phone, or on email. Now, that's not to say that 80% is all not valuable time. Obviously, there's a lot of value in communicating with coworkers and suppliers and consultants and customers. But we all know the amount of time that it takes to have many meetings throughout the day, where it may not always be an efficient use of time, and the impact that it has on your schedule. So the challenges that people face that we saw in our examples, but just to sum up some of them, dealing with a lack of a central repository that provides version control that is tied to the work that people are doing and isn't just a generic file storage area. It is a definite drain on productivity, especially at the times where you need to make sure you have the right information and don't have time to go and searching for it. So preparing for the end of the month or even during shift changeovers. There is a challenge in working within teams, but especially between departments. So a lack of transparent communication where knowing when the handoff is between survey to geology to planners to schedulers, and knowing when is, so in Tanya's case, when is that block model considered done? When it can be published? When can it be published? Who has approved it and reviewed it? What approvals have been in place? Setting up standard operating procedures so that there's consistency in the processes that people are completing, especially where it's something that is repeated often. The example that I'll use today in the demo is preparing for an end of month report. And, that's something where you want to have consistency so that you're using the same information every month. It's prepared in the same way so that you have a consistent set of results that you can rely on each month for the report. And then finally, even with, people struggling to have that collaboration with each other and getting their work done, it's also difficult just to see where people are at their everyday activities or even in large projects. So having an overview and status of their current tasks as they apply to some of those standard operating procedures and daily processes that they're working on, or even larger projects, and knowing how they're working and how and having no way to tie that together with the deliverables of what they're working on. So a lot of challenges that we know our customers face, and obviously it's not unique to any one industry. We all face this in everyday life, and it's a challenge for organizations regardless of where they are or what they're doing. So what I look at is how can we improve communication with collaboration and in this case, a solution for collaboration from Dassault Systèmes, the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, and how that enables effective communication so that people can begin to collaborate and work a lot better together. So we'll go back to the example of Tanya, and we know all the time and inefficiency there was in her previous attempt to update the block model and get feedback from people. So now what Tanya is going to update the block model, she's going to upload it to the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. That file is then backed up. It's secure in a defined location. And in this case, as we'll see from the demonstration, it is she can make that upload directly from Surpac. So it's tied to the application where she's making her updates. In addition, the stakeholders that she previously needed to get feedback from, she can notify them directly on the 3D platform, even on the file that she's uploaded herself. So she can share that file, and we'll see examples of all of this in the demonstration so that they get notifications that the new block model is available. Anyone that has some feedback can make comments directly on that file and provide feedback all in one place. If there are any other updates, because the files are all located and provide version control, again from Surpac, then there's no confusion about what the latest version is on that central repository on the platform, because we know the latest version has been uploaded directly from Surpac. In addition, once the updates are complete, Tanya can indicate the completion status on her tasks. So she can say, I've done the block model, and that could even trigger an approval request to, for example, the head geologist, so that they can go and make the final reviews, ensure the updates are correct before the block model is published, so that the sharing of information and communicating with others is easy with everyone involved and in the same conversation. So, and I'll get into how the 3DEXPERIENCE platform provides all that functionality, and we'll see it in the demonstration. But I wanted to just then say, okay, now that we have the capability to have effective communication, starting with the sort of very basic ability to file share collaboratively, how does that lead us to effective collaboration? So when you have that collaborative file sharing, which isn't just saying you have a central place and a central repository, but a way to have a single source of truth for your shared work. That's a phrase that you hear often from us at Dassault Systèmes, and it is so key. Because that really eliminates a lot of the challenges that we talked about earlier around file management and version control and what's the latest version and where is it located. So having that collaborative capability with file sharing to get that single source of truth is key. That then enables knowledge acquisition, and knowledge acquisition is about having the not just knowing where the information is, but having traceability and knowing who's made changes and updates. What tasks and activities are people currently working on? What's the status of different projects? Knowing that the data is backed up and secure and can be shared, and have then communication about that work, so that people can make decisions knowing they have the most up-to-date information, whether they're on site or at head office. Everyone can access the platform and make sure they've got the latest version, and then provide that context sensitive feedback. So directly on the block model that Tanya updated, people can provide comments and feedback, and it's all in one place. People can see what others have commented on and make responses to each other. So it's one conversation all tied to that specific piece of content. That then brings us to enabling team collaboration so that teams can manage projects efficiently, enable an easier reporting with that single source of truth. And one of the key things that we'll see is tying the project, the tasks, to the work or the content, the deliverables that are required, so that, for example, when Tanya uploads the block model and the reviews are complete, you can have that automatic approval, like I stated earlier, so that the head geologist makes the review, and it's all based off that content being uploaded, and then the approvals can be tied to that as well. It then gets us to that transparent two-way communication between people on the same team, between people in the same department, between people at different sites, and can help define those standard operating procedures so you get that consistency and accuracy. And it allows people to easily organize their work and know the current status of what they're working on, what other teams are working on, and just be able to easily go on with their day and get to those value-added activities. So that's a sort of quick introduction to where we see the opportunity to improve people's productivity and make them more efficient with collaboration. And I thought it would be nice to get out of PowerPoint and continue the presentation by going to the platform itself. So I will give a quick tour of the platform in just a moment, but I wanted to start off by just taking, so these are the slides that we've just been going through. We're actually instead going to look at them on the platform. And so just while that's opening, I'll make it larger so that we can take a look at it in easier view. Okay, so here's the last slide we were on. And just finally on the right, you can see some of the value of eliminating some of those manual data management tasks and the feedback from the people that participated in the survey. And there's no surprise, it's really about being more efficient and more productive and reducing costs. It's all very good things, and all helps, like I said, get to that value-added work. So how does Dassault Systèmes and GEOVIA enable that collaboration? And I've mentioned it already, and we're on it right now. It's the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, and one of the sort of key messages we talk about with the 3DEXPERIENCE platform is enabling zero distance between teams and sites and even different organizations. It's not just about collaborating within your organization. The 3DEXPERIENCE platform allows you to easily collaborate with suppliers, with consultants, and for some organizations, even with customers. The idea of zero distance is it eliminates the challenges of working collaboratively across either teams or departments or across geographies. And because it is enabled for all users in your organization. So it's not just the people that are working with Surpac, for example. It's not just the people that are, making updates to geology and the schedule and the plan and then passing it off. It's for everyone along the value chain, everyone from geologists and surveyors and planners and engineers, financial analysts in the head office, all the way up to the executive level. Here at Dassault Systèmes, we all use the 3DEXPERIENCE platform every day in our everyday work. We use it to organize our work. We use it to show our customers the offerings that we have. The 3DEXPERIENCE platform is in use by hundreds and thousands of customers across the globe in all different industries. And it's providing very unique functionality beyond just collaboration, but that is our focus for today. But I'll introduce you to some of the other capabilities the platform provides in just a moment. So the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, it is really a business experience platform because it goes beyond, like I said, just a place to store files and have version control, which is very important. But we look at it really as a place to connect people and data and solutions and ideas within your organization and even without the organization, like I mentioned, in one place, a visual, interactive environment that creates a comprehensive picture of your business. So being able to have software solutions for every team, every organization in your company that helps them be more productive and efficient and collaborate together and have that cross-functional teamwork. So, it's really focused on enabling people to work better together and focus on the work. Where's the value that they can add in the business that they're doing every day? So we, sorry, I'm just going to go to the next slide there. We describe the platform as a compass. And so the compass that you see in the middle here, it provides access and navigation to different capabilities. What we're going to focus on today is in the north quadrant of the compass, social and collaborative functionalities. And so we'll spend a lot of our time there. And so I'll just introduce that as a place in the platform where there are applications and tools to allow users to create online, internal and external, so again within the organization or outside of your organization, and having them work together, but social communities. So these social communities are where we connect people. So the first sort of step onto the platform is in that social and collaborative space. And through those online communities, you can connect people into your business, into the business ecosystem, from all types of users, and regardless of their location. So the rest of the webinar today will focus on the capabilities provided in that north quadrant, but I'll just quickly describe the other quadrants as well, and those are things that could be the focus of future webinars. But in the 3D modeling quadrant, so that's the one on the left or the west side, this is where 3D models can be seen and shared by everyone in your organization. And we'll have a small example of that in the demonstration today. In the south quadrant, that's where we provide content and simulation apps. These apps allow users to base their decision-making on realistic simulations. And that includes results analytics of those simulations, processing large amounts of data so that you can go through hundreds or thousands of simulations with all different variables and compare the results of those outputs to help make decisions. On the west side, or on the east side or the right-hand side of the compass, we have the information intelligence apps. And again, these start with out-of-the-box capabilities, standard on the platform, to create personal or business dashboards. And in fact, what we're looking at right now is one of those dashboards. So it's a dashboard that I created to host the webinar and to run the demonstration. And so I'll walk you through that in just a few moments here. But as we'll see, to create a dashboard, it's quite simple in just terms of dragging elements or dragging widgets onto the dashboard and then populating them with content. And we'll do that in the demonstration today. So I'll spend a lot of time describing some of the capabilities in that north quadrant in the rest of our webinar. Okay, so focusing in now on that north quadrant, on the social and collaborative aspects, I'll wanted to just introduce the offerings that I mentioned at the beginning: social collaboration and enterprise collaboration, and even give you a little introduction into the sort of future beyond that in terms of some of the new apps that we're providing here at GEOVIA. So we'll talk about this as your journey to the 3D experience, and as I mentioned, the starting place is in social collaboration. And so this is where we really connect people to the 3D experience and connect people to each other. The apps in social collaboration are available as part of the base installation of the 3D experience platform. So it's sort of the base role. A role is how we package up apps and provide them to users. So the base role comes with social collaboration. And so generally every user of the platform has at least that basic social collaboration because it's the core of the platform. That allows users to share information, to store data, to collaborate with each other, and to communicate with others across the organization, within their team, or broadly with others, and like I said, even with people outside of your organization, and start to establish that single source of truth. So having the ability to share files to the platform and be able to give access to other people with those files. But really the main focus here is on the ability to communicate with others and create those social communities that I mentioned previously. We introduced social collaboration with the 681 release of Surpac in November of last year. So that enabled us to connect Surpac to the platform to access the social collaboration capabilities, and that came out in November, as I mentioned. Since then, we've then moved on to enterprise collaboration. So that's the middle of our journey here, and this is the next stage in digital transformation. And this is where we start to digitalize mining data that's currently tied up in your desktop applications, which are still very powerful tools like Surpac. We're not moving away from the capabilities provided by Surpac, but we're adding to them. And in the demonstration today, we'll bring up Surpac and show how we connect Surpac to the platform. In the case of enterprise collaboration, that provides some additional capabilities beyond the social aspects. And it starts by providing a structured, secured, and version-controlled data access. So it provides that ability to check out files so that you know who's currently working on them. It has the version control, so you know what the latest version is. So it's firmly establishing that single source of truth. It also includes the ability to manage projects and tasks, and we'll show that in the demonstration. And those are actually provided by another group within Dassault Systèmes, another one of our brands within the company called GEOVIA. So GEOVIA is where we provide the general mining products like Surpac and Mineshed and Whittle and Minix. And GEOVIA is another brand within Dassault Systèmes. GEOVIA powers the 3DEXPERIENCE platform and provides some of those capabilities that we'll see today. The future phase of digital transformation, or the one that we're I did want to mention enterprise collaboration is available, and it was released with Surpac 6.9 in July. So we've released that version and delivered on that one, and we have customers that have already implemented the first phase in social collaboration. We have customers that are in the process of implementing enterprise collaboration. We've had wonderful feedback on the value that they've already started to see out of just being able to use these tools to collaborate and tie them to their work with Surpac. So now we're working on the next phase, which is the transform phase. And this phase of the digital transformation is achieved by introducing apps that we're building directly on the 3DEXPERIENCE platform using the tools that are available, and as also taking advantage of capabilities from other brands within Dassault Systèmes. So the other colored boxes you see there, things like Delmia, Similia, Excelid, these are other brands that provide other tools and apps for sometimes for other industries. So things like mining, things that we're providing for mining, but they provide for things like manufacturing, life sciences, data sciences. And so we're able to make use of the capabilities that they provide on the platform and deliver those to our customers to provide more value and more functionality in the mining industry. So we're able to reuse some of the rich functionality that those brands provide. And we deliver that combined solution through industry solution experiences. So it's a way for us to define a standard mining process. Whether it is going through exploration, whether it is going through mine design, whether it's creating the long-term plan or tomorrow's plans for shifts that are happening during each day. We define the processes and the workflow working with our customers, and then create a solution that combines the apps and functionality from these different brands as an industry solution experience. So it's that one package wrapped up, and it has all the goodness of the platform underneath it. We are currently working on the first native app from GEOVIA. So GEOVIA's first app that's built directly on the platform, and that's Geology Modeler. And you'll hear more about that and other apps in future webinars. One thing I wanted to end on just before we get into the demonstration, and we'll spend the rest of our discussion here on the demonstration is that even though I've talked quite a bit about how the social collaboration and enterprise collaboration offerings are connecting Surpac to the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, I want to emphasize that it's not just about people that use applications like Surpac and other traditional GEOVIA applications. It really is focused on all users within your organization. The power of that platform, like I said earlier, is connecting people to the data, to the ideas, to the solutions on the platform, regardless of where they are, regardless of their responsibilities, so that they're all able to collaborate effectively. So using the platform, for example, planners that don't use Surpac and aren't familiar with it or don't need to use Surpac, so they don't even have it installed, they can still view a mine design on the platform in 3D and be able to see a preview of that. The shift boss can share information with teams about tomorrow's activities prior to shift prior to the shift changeover, so they can share the plan. What updates have changed? We set a weekly plan, but there's been some changes, so it will share that with crews and do it online in a team workspace, for example. Even during a daily stand-up, customers are using the platform to create a dashboard, to share information, and I'll show you some examples of that in a moment. And then everyone can review the notes from the previous daily stand-up, and so have that that consistency of information between groups and between teams. Okay, so let's move on to the demonstration and actually take a look at the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. And again, I'll walk through a scenario, and I mentioned earlier, in this case, we're working as a team to now that July is over, to create the end of month report. And so the project is already underway, so there's already been some work completed. And the next task is to update the mine design. And I've actually received an email that lets me know that I've been assigned that task. So I assigned this task to myself yesterday to indicate that I'd be working on it. And if my manager had assigned it to me, or even another team member had passed it on, I get an email notification like we see here, letting me know that the task has been assigned, and just confirms some information about that task. So I'm going to go back here to the platform, and I'm going to go to my home dashboard. And just before we get started on that update to the mine design, I'll give you a brief introduction to the platform, a little bit of a tour, so that as we go through the demonstration, you'll be able to pick out some of the things that I've talked about already. So this is my home dashboard, and it brings together a lot of information in one place. I wanted to start by just opening up the compass. So we looked at that earlier, and I mentioned the 4 quadrants that we talked about before, but in this case, I'm going to focus on the north quadrant, our social and collaborative apps. And not only does the quadrant, sort of give us one place to talk about everything that we provide, but it is also the navigation capability within the platform itself. So by clicking on the different quadrants, I can access the apps that fall under that category. So in this case, in the social and collaboration area, I have the ability to see my roles. Like I mentioned earlier, a role is how we combine the apps that are available to a user. So I know what's available to me based on those roles. And as well, there's a full list of social and collaborative apps, but I've bookmarked some of my favorites here in my favorite apps. And we'll look at a lot of these today in the demonstration. But navigation to go between different apps as I'm doing my work is all through the 3DEXPERIENCE compass up here, and it always stays up here on the left as a way to navigate throughout the platform. Okay, so I'll just run through quickly what we're looking at here, and we're going to dig into some of these as we go. But I wanted to create a simple dashboard. This is the place that every time I open up the platform, this is what I see, and it's stuff that is important to me. So on the top left, I have a feed reader, and I have set that up to read the contents of the GEOVIA blog as a sorry, as a mine professional, I want to keep up to date on GEOVIA's tools, of course. So I've got the ability to see all the latest posts from GEOVIA, and then I can also click on them and go directly to the post and get more information. So that's the ability to just read that feed from a different website. I also have a set of web notes, and this is really just a simple text editor widget on the platform. It's something that can be shared with others, but in this case, I've just made it simple and kept all the daily stand-up meeting notes. So who was attending, the topics covered, and then the minutes of those, so I can go back and refer to those. Down here below, I have one of our file management capabilities, 3D Drive, and this is really sort of my personal file management solution. I can share these files with others. In this case, I'm looking at my files. So these are my private files that I have accessible to me, and obviously can be organized as I like. In a minute, I'll show the 3D space capability, which is where we get the versioning control and how we connect to Surpac. Finally, down here on the bottom, I have my tasks. And at the moment, I have these filtered on the end of month report project so that I can see the current project. If I were to take the filter off, I would see all my tasks that are assigned to me, regardless of what project they're related to. And in fact, for me, myself, in everyday life, I do have tasks on here that relate to my work. So it's something that I use daily as well. But for the demonstration here, I've created this end of month report project, and as we can see, some of my teammates have already completed some of the work, and I know the work that's meant to be done next. And update mine design is what we're going to work on here just in a moment. Just to finish off the tour of the dashboard, I have different tabs across the top. So additional dashboards that I've created that are all tied to this one dashboard of the River Delta site. And we'll look at some of those tabs as we go through our demonstration. Up here on the top right, here's another navigation menu to some of the more common functionalities that are required. So here's me, I know I'm logged in and I can get to my profile. If I'm on the platform and work has been assigned to me, somebody has commented on something that I've uploaded. There's new information for me to see. I receive notifications. I have the ability to add content, share with others, which is a very important aspect of the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, is being able to share with others, and we'll see that in a moment. And then access some other content and communities, and then get some help as well. So as a brief introduction to the platform, and as we go through the demonstration, I'll show a lot of these tools and walk you through a little bit more in how they work in more detail. Okay, so let's get back to that mine design update. And so what I want to do is take a look at the notes that have been added to my task. And what I'll do here is I'll expand this view. So I've just opened up that widget, the tasks widget, so I can see it in more detail. And I've opened up this task by just clicking on it. I'll do that again. And so it provides me more information on the task, and some of this we saw in the email, but there's the ability to add attachments, and I don't have attachments here, but I can see on some of these other tasks they've had attachments added. But I can see what I need to do, which is to update the mine design. We've had updates, all these ones that have been completed already. So the next step is to update the design, and I'm going to get started on that. So I actually had another of this webinar yesterday. So I started the task yesterday, but I've not yet indicated to my team that I'm working on it. So what I'm going to do is just to let everybody know that I'm working on the mine design, and I'm going to get started. I'm going to just drag it over into in progress. So my manager or anyone else on my team that's part of this project can see that the work is in progress. And I know that the due date for that is to complete is today. So we better get started on it. I need to finish today, which is the 8th. Now, because I know what I'm doing is making updates to last month's design with all the changes that have happened, I wanted to take a look at last month's design quickly before I open it up in Surpac and make changes to it. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to show you how easy it is to add to your dashboard. So I've opened up the Compass here again to the social and collaborative apps. And the one I'm going to choose is the 3D Play widget. And this is one of the ones I mentioned that falls under the 3D category as well, but it allows us to view files directly on the platform. So I have here the end of month pit design from June, and this is in the new Surpac file format, so it's a .sdm. And all I'm going to do is, I'll close this here so we have a bigger view. I'm going to drag it onto that 3D Play app. So this file is in 3D space, so it's in that version controlled file management capability, and it allows me to just have a quick preview of the file, and I'll bring it up a bit bigger here. And this is the file we're going to be working with in Surpac. So I can see what was done last month, and I know that I have some changes to make. So I want to now go and open up this file that is in the file management capability, but I'm going to do it from Surpac. So I'm going to switch now to Surpac. And for those of you that are familiar with Surpac, very much the same, but there are some new additions. And the first thing is the ability to log into the 3DEXPERIENCE platform from Surpac. So I'm just going to bring that up and log in. And that's going to connect to the platform and to that file management app, 3D Space. And so just logging in. Okay, so now that I've logged in, when I click on the 3DEXPERIENCE tab here, I'm able to see the file system that we looked at previously. And what I'm going to do is synchronize that folder so that I know I'm getting the latest version of the files that are online. And here's the one that we were looking at, 2018-06 Pit Design version 1.sdm. And if I just flip back here and see 2018-06 Pit Design version 1 SDM. Because I have synchronized, I know that I have the latest version. It's coming off of the platform, so I know I'm ready to work on that file. So the first thing I want to do is check the file out so that I can begin to make changes to it. So I now have checked out the file, and it is checked out to me. And now I can open the file. And here's the one that we were looking at on the platform. Surpac colors it a little bit differently, and that allows us to then go and do the work that's required. Now, for the interest of time, I'm going to fast forward through my remaining days worth of work, and I just want to make a final change here, just something quick, so that we can see the change implemented in the platform when we look at it on there. So I'm just going to remove that pit floor surface just so that there's a very obvious change. But I've gone through completed my day's worth of work. And so now I just want to save the updates that I've made. And I'm going to save it again in the SDM format. Again, that's the new Surpac format. And I'm just going to overwrite the one that's there because I want to create the version for this month. And we'll just keeping an eye on time, keep moving along. So I have saved the file. Now I can check in the file. And I'm just going to say July draft updates. Because I do need some feedback on this before I finalize it to confirm. So, you know, maybe that removing the pit floor there wasn't the right step to take, but I'm going to upload the file back to the platform. So I've checked it in, which means it's now been added back to the platform so that others can review it. If I realize that I've made a mistake and I want to go back and revert to a previous version, I can roll back to the previous version. If I want to take a copy of the file and work with it locally, I can download it. If I'm just have a brand new version, so you know, there's been enough changes that rather than rolling back and applying them, I just want to upload a brand new version, I can do that. I can also look at the properties of the file. But again, this is all accessing the 3DEXPERIENCE platform and the file that's located on the platform. So I've now checked that file in. If we go back to the platform, because I just overwrote this one, all I need to do is refresh the 3D Play widget that had been reading the file, and we'll see our changes and we can see it here where we removed that pit floor. So that allows me to then share this file with others. So I'm just going to let a colleague know, and I know from my collaborative tasks that Sean is the next person that follows me in tasks. Sean is going to update the schedule now once I've completed the mine design, but I want him to have a look at that before he goes ahead and completes it. So I'm just going to send him a notification, and that will send Sean a notification. So he'll get a little notification up here on his version of the platform, and he'll also receive an email letting him know that I've shared this with him. He can then come in and view the same file because he has access to this folder, and take a look and make any comments as well, all within the platform. So he doesn't need Surpac to do that. Now that I have completed my draft, I'm going to go back to the collaborative tasks that we looked at earlier. So this is the plan that we were looking at earlier, and I had indicated that the mine design is complete. I want to fast forward again a little bit in time and assume that I have shared that with others. They've made comments, I've received feedback, I've gone back into Surpac and made any changes that are required, and then uploaded the final version. Before I can move forward, I need to have approval, whether it's from the mine manager, head of operations, whoever needs to approve that design before we publish it and make it final, and Sean then updates the schedule. We have the ability to notify those users that I have completed my work once I drag it from in progress to done. So there's an automatic approvals route defined that says when I move this to done, it will then trigger those approval requests from the stakeholders that have been identified. So it's a predefined approval route. And what that does is it sends them a note to say, Jessica has completed the mine design. Please go in and have a look and review and indicate your approval before it can be complete and published. And that approval route can even be so formal, probably not in the case of an end of month report, but it can be so formal as to include a signature as well. So I'm going to finish that off by dragging it over, and that will send off the approvals and provide that to everybody. And so then Sean could then start his work as well. Another way to look at that project is just to bring up the Gantt chart that shows all the tasks within the project and the relationships between them. Again, this is a fairly simple project, so this could be something that you would use in a more larger project if you like, but it gives you an idea of how we can go beyond just having some tasks on the Kanban board and actually create a project with milestones and gates. For example, I know that this looks like this milestone is behind, so I could click on it and go and contact the person that's been assigned to it and check in on them. But just in the interest of time, I'm going to move on to finishing off. We've done the demonstration. I showed a lot of the apps and talked through a lot of them here. There are many more that are available, and I won't get into detail all of those, but in terms of the social collaboration offering we talked about there, it's really connecting people to the platform and giving them access to those online communities. And then the enterprise collaboration adds to social collaboration the 3D space capability, which provides that secure version control, file management, as well as the project management and task management capabilities from GEOVIA. And we will have future webinars that go into some of these capabilities in more detail. So that was hopefully a helpful introduction to the 3DEXPERIENCE platform and how we're providing the ability to enable effective collaboration within your organization tied to GEOVIA applications like Surpac. And again, where we just talk about some of the benefits of effective collaboration falling under those 4 categories of collaborative file sharing, establishing that single source of truth, knowledge acquisition, communication, and team collaboration. And I hope that you will have some questions for us. We're going to switch to the question portion here, but I appreciate your time. and I'm going to just open up our question panel. Okay, I've got time for a couple of questions, but I just want to make sure that if you do have a question and you haven't entered it yet, please do so. And like I said, you know, we'll get back to you individually if we don't get a chance to answer your question here today. And I also wanted to I'll also cover a few other questions that came up previously, just to tie in what we heard from some of our previous questions and other webinars as well. Okay, so the first question here is, so how are the apps in the platform delivered? Are they only on the cloud? Yes, sorry, I probably didn't clarify that when we talked about 3DEXPERIENCE platform. Generally, we deliver the 3DEXPERIENCE platform on the cloud. So it is delivered in one of Dassault Systèmes data centers. We have many throughout the globe in different regions, and that's the recommended way to implement the platform is on the cloud. However, we understand that in the case of some organizations, they have a mandate to keep certain information on premise and not put it on the cloud. And even some regions in the world have restrictions on what can be put out into the cloud, especially where you know, working with global companies that have data centers in different areas. So we do have the capability to offer the platform on premise. It does have a slight difference in functionality, very minor, but most of the functionality is available on premise. And we have within Dassault Systèmes many customers that use the 3DEXPERIENCE platform on premise. Majority of them are on the cloud. Okay, let me just, I'm going to scroll through a few of these here. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify, the question is clarify that Surpac is not required. So Surpac's license is not required by users, so they can, like I said, use the platform to collaborate with others, to even view the output of Surpac, like I showed you in looking at that mine design in the 3D Play widget, and not requiring Surpac. So no, they definitely don't require that. There's another question here which is sort of related, and it's about purchasing. Okay, so do I need to purchase one role to access all the social collaboration apps, or are they also sorted by specific roles? So generally, when you deploy the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, all your users that will access the platform will have at least that base role that comes with social collaboration. So that would be the minimum role that you would give likely to everybody within your organization so that they can all collaborate. So that would be one role per person. Then where you wanted to provide additional functionality to users, whether it's the enterprise collaboration capabilities with project management and the file version control. Again, it's a fairly useful tool for everybody, but that's a second optional role that you can add on to social collaboration. And then there are additional roles that are available on the platform. As we deliver new GEOVIA applications on the platform, they will have additional roles. So as needed, you can purchase more roles for individuals and choose the ones that are tied to the work that they need to do. So you can make it very specific to those users. There are a couple other questions about licensing, and I think I'll just respond to those directly, just looking at the time and seeing we're right at the top of the hour. And so what I'll do is just direct you to some of the other sources of information from GEOVIA. So I'd mentioned our blog, and I had that linked in our dashboard that we looked at. We are also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So we encourage you to contact us on any of those social media offerings to stay in touch. As we mentioned, we will be recording the webinar. There's 3 webinars, so one of the recordings will be made available. And if you have any questions, you can contact us at geovia.info@3ds.com or contact me directly, Jessica Jensen at 3ds.com.